After hearing this from Kanna's mouth, Ranvir was out of control for Mahi. Even after cheating him with bullets, Ranvir's anger did not calm down. So he started kicking Kanna's dead body. Ranvir had gone completely mad with anger. He kicked Kanna's dead body and said, "How dare you say all this about my Mahi? Hey, if anyone even touches her eyes, I will kill him. You will do this to her? Rascal, what is your status? She is my life. Mahi belongs only to Ranvir Roy Kapoor. You can put 1,000 men behind her. Still, Ranvir Roy Kapoor will not let anyone touch his Mahi. He will not let anyone go around her." Rudra first calmed himself down, because he was also very angry when Khanna said this about Mahi. Then he looked at Ranvir, who was still mad with anger and was kicking Khanna's dead body. His entire hands were stained with blood, and there was a lot of blood on his clothes. Whenever Ranvir's anger was out of control, it was very difficult to control it. Seeing Ranvir's condition, Rudra went ahead and caught him and removed him from Khanna's dead body. But Ranvir was out of his mind. It was very difficult for him to control him. Rudra pointed at the bodyguards standing nearby. They all came and removed Ranvir from Khanna's dead body. Rudra set Ranvir on the sofa and tried to calm him down. "Ranvir, he is dead. Control your anger. Nothing will happen to Mahi. We will not let anything happen to her." By then, the bodyguard brought a bottle of water. Rudra opened the water bottle and started pouring water on Ranvir's head so that his mind would be a little cool. Ranvir was taking long breaths in anger. His face was completely red. At this time, his eyes were looking as if he had blood in them. Rudra had never seen Ranvir so angry before today. He was surprised to see Ranvir's anger. After a while, Ranvir's anger calmed down a bit. So Rudra gave him water to drink. Then he instructed all the bodyguards. "Clean everything from here quickly." Saying this, he brought Ranvir out of the car. Rudra made Ranvir sit on the passenger seat and himself sat on the driving seat. Then he looked at Ranvir, who was now looking quite calm. Ranvir closed his eyes and put his head on the seat. Rudra then started the car and left from there. He stopped the car at a deserted place and then asked Ranvir, "Ranvir, are you okay now?" Ranvir took a deep breath and said, I'm fine." Then Rudra also took a deep breath and said, "Ranvir, we have to do something for Mahi's security. Because if Khada has said, then he must have definitely planned something. And we cannot take any risk with Mahi." Ranvir was in deep thought. He said, "You are right, Rudra. You put some bodyguards behind Mahi. At her house, in her college, wherever Mahi goes. But keep this in mind, Mahi should not even know about this." Rudra also nodded his head and said, "Okay, I will do this work today. You don't worry." Then Ranvir said, "By then I will try my best to find that man. And once I find that man, I will give him such a death that his soul will also tremble." Ranvir said this with anger. After a while, Rudra called the driver and got his car. And left from there. It was night time. Ranvir's car was running at full speed on the highway. And he was holding a bottle in his hand and drinking. His eyes were red due to some intoxication and some anger. Because he was remembering Khada's words again and again. Which he had said for Mahi. Those words were burning his blood. It was 12 o'clock in the night. And Ranvir's car was parked outside Mahi's house. Everyone was asleep. And Ranvir was holding his head. He was looking at the window of Mahi's room. Today, he had a different feeling in his eyes. Today, for the first time, he was afraid of Mahi. Fear of losing her. His mind was very restless. He wanted peace. And he could get that peace only by going to Mahi. Thinking something, Ranvir got out of his car. And started looking at the window of Mahi's room. His hand was in his pocket. And he was feeling that he was lost in some deep thought. After a while, it started raining. Ranvir stood there for a while and kept getting drenched in the rain. Today, the rain was giving a coolness to his restless mind. Ranvir was still standing there, looking at the window of Mahi's room. Mahi was sleeping peacefully on her bed. Then he felt something wet on his face. Like some drops of water were falling on his face. Mahi opened her eyes. And as soon as her eyes met Ranvir's intoxicating eyes, she started shivering. Before she could scream, Ranvir closed his mouth with his hands. Ranvir was looking at Mahi with a different feeling in his intoxicating eyes. In the meantime, they didn't blink their eyes even once. Where Ranvir's eyes were intoxicated for Mahi, there was a passion. There was a yearning. Mahi's eyes were only filled with fear and anxiety. Then Mahi started remembering the scene of the morning. Then she started shivering again. She put her hand on Ranvir's chest and tried to push him away. Now he was very scared. What is Ranvir doing in his room at this time? He felt that Ranvir is not going to do all that with him again. Ranvir's eyes were red with intoxication at this time. And he was looking at Mahi's beautiful eyes. He could see his fear in Mahi's eyes. And Ranvir knew why he was afraid. Ranvir calmed him down in his wavering voice and said, "Shh, don't be afraid. I won't do anything to you now. I just want to stay with you, so that my restless heart can get relief. And now I need that peace that I can only get from you." Mahi felt that Ranvir had drunk a lot at this time. That's why he was very scared. Mahi tried to take Ranvir's hand away from her mouth. Mahi's repeated attempts caused a wave of anger in Ranvir's eyes. Seeing this, Mahi stopped struggling. She understood that trying to get rid of him again and again can increase Ranvir's anger. When Ranvir saw that Mahi had stopped struggling, he slowly took his hand away from Mahi's mouth. Then he saw Mahi's trembling lips. The dripping of Mahi's lips was attracting Ranvir towards him. Ranvir slowly started moving towards Mahi's lips. But Mahi quickly turned her face to the other side. Mahi was getting a strong smell of alcohol from Ranvir, which she could not bear. When Mahi did this, a smile appeared on Ranvir's lips. He said in intoxication, "You are not able to bear the smell of alcohol, while you are much more intoxicated than alcohol. One day I can live without alcohol, but not without you. I am addicted to you. Now I only want you with me all the time. My Mahi, always with me, very close to me." Saying this, he turned his face towards Mahi and took her lips in his grasp. Kissing Mahi, he was feeling the same peace which he had come in search of. Mahi was trembling to get rid of Ranvir. After a while, he moved away from her and took a deep breath and started looking at Mahi's face. Mahi was still trembling to get rid of Ranvir. After a while, he moved away from her and took a deep breath and started looking at Mahi's face. He could only see anger in Mahi's eyes. Seeing this, a smile appeared on Ranvir's face again. He said in his intoxicated voice, "Baby, are you angry?" Then he extended his palm towards her and said, "Come on, bite me." Mahi was already very angry at Ranvir. Some because of the morning and some because of now. That's why she bit Ranvir's hand hard. She applied as much force as she could. But she didn't dare to put a little poison on Ranvir's face. She still had a smile on her face. It seemed as if she was enjoying this bite too. Mahi took out all her anger on Ranvir's hand. Then she looked at his hand. Now Ranvir's hand was starting to bleed a little. Seeing this, Mahi was very disappointed that she shouldn't have done this. She had tears in her eyes and she asked with great innocence, "Sorry, you must have been in a lot of pain, right?" Mahi's face was clearly visible with regret. Seeing this, Ranvir said with a smile, "No dear, I didn't feel any pain at all." Saying this, he turned on the bed. Now Mahi was on Ranvir. And his hair was on Ranvir's face. Mahi was looking into Ranvir's eyes. She asked Ranvir, "How did you come to my room?" Ranvir pointed to the balcony with his eyes and said, "From there." Mahi was surprised and said, "From there? But how did you reach there? What if you had fallen?" Ranvir said with his hair on Mahi's face behind her ear, I have already come to your room from there. Hearing Ranvir, Mahi asked with surprise, when? Ranvir again put Mahi down and said, when you had a fever. When? In fact, I was with you all night on your bed. Mahi shyly covered her face with her hands. Seeing Mahi so shy, Ranvir laughed and lay next to her. Then he held Mahi close to his waist and said, Mahi, why are you so shy? When you are in this state now, there will be a lot going on between us. What will you do then? Mahi asked Ranvir in confusion, what else will happen next? Ranvir kissed his neck and said, come on, let me show you practically now. Mahi quickly pushed Ranvir and broke the blanket to her face and lay down. Ranvir also took the blanket on himself and filled Mahi in his arms. In a while, Mahi fell asleep, but Ranvir was not sleepy at all. He was just looking at Mahi's innocent face while sleeping. After a while, Mahi hugged Ranvir tightly and put her head on his chest. Seeing Mahi sleeping like this, Ranvir said, if Mahi was awake at this time, then maybe she wouldn't even think of doing this. He always runs away from me. Will Ranvir be able to protect Mahi? Will Kanna's man be caught? Will Ranvir's obsession force Mahi to love him? To find out, listen to this Oh Baby only on Love Pulse Diaries.